Hello and welcome to the JMeter beginner tutorial series, and this is the 16th session and we are going to learn about timers in JMeter. Timers is a very important concept in JMeter and it helps us to set up a realistic performance test. So what do I mean by realistic performance test and what does timers actually mean in JMeter? So think about this. Whenever a real user will use your application, he will not do all the actions very fast as a JMeter script does. So whenever we set up a performance test in JMeter, the tool tries to execute all the threads and all the requests as soon as it can. But this is not what happens in real world. A real user will take some time between two actions. He will have some think time added. There will be some random delay between various actions of a user. Okay, so the purpose of adding timers is to simulate real user actions and behavior, and therefore we want to add some delay between the threads, and it will actually avoid overflooding the server and achieve real-time behavior by pacing the load in a real-world situation. Okay, so this is why we use timers, and timers are used to add think time to our JMeter performance test so that we can simulate a real-world application scenario. Okay, so in JMeter there are a lot of timers, but what we are going to see here is, let me add a thread group. Okay, and let us add a simple controller. I am adding the simple controller just to group all my samples in a logical way. Okay, so now I will add a sampler, and let me add a HTTP request, and let us go to this site live charger. Let me go to this page and we will add a test for this particular page. So I'll give the server name here, only the domain is sufficient, and I will give the path of this page. Okay, let me add a listener to check my request is valid. I am adding a table listener and I will just run it. Let me see. Okay, I have saved my request and I have executed, and yes, I am getting a valid response. Okay, so now we can add timers. Right click, go to add, go to timer, and we have all these kind of timers, right? There are different types of timer. What we will look at is constant timer and uniform random timer, and most of your request, 99% of your request should be covered by using these two timers. If you want a very complicated and you want to have various type of permutation, combination, mathematical calculation, you can use other types of timer as well. But here in this session I will cover constant timer and uniform random timer, and 99% of your requests should be covered by these two types of timer. Okay, so we are going to see constant timer and uniform random timer. So let us add a constant timer to our request. I am adding a constant timer within my request, and you can add the delay by adding the number of milliseconds here. So as of now it is 300. I want to make it to a larger value so that I can show you the effect in action. So I have set 5000 milliseconds, which is equal to 5 seconds. So let us run this request, and you will see that for the first 5 seconds nothing will happen, and only after 5 seconds the first request will get executed. So I have started, and you can see the timer here. For 5 seconds it is waiting, and only after 5 seconds we got our first request executed. Okay, so to look into more detail, let me add few more requests. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I have added these requests here. Okay, and what I will do, I will add one more. Let me make this HTTP request name as 1. Okay, this is HTTP request 2 and this is HTTP request 3. Okay, and let me also add timers. This is, I'll just add it here. I'll just tell you what I'm doing. Let me make it constant timer B and let me give this name as constant timer C. Okay, so see, I have a HTTP request 1 inside simple controller and the constant timer A is a child of HTTP request 1. So it will be applicable only to HTTP request 1 and not to request 2 or request 3. Okay, now constant timer B is within simple controller. Okay, is a child of simple controller. So whatever requests are within simple controller, it will be applied to those requests. So constant timer B will be applied to HTTP request 1 as well as request 2. Okay, then we have a constant timer C, which is a child of the thread group and which is outside simple controller. So this constant timer C will be applicable to all the requests within the thread. So it will be applicable to request 1, request 2 as well as request 3. Okay, so let me make this as 3000 milliseconds, all the delays. So now you can think about this, right? uh, HTTP request, for HTTP request 1, constant timer A will be applicable, constant timer B will also be applicable, and constant timer C will be applicable. So the total delay for request 1 will be 3 seconds plus 3 seconds plus 3 seconds, which is 9 seconds. For HTTP request 2, constant timer B is applicable and C is applicable, so the delay is for 6 seconds. For request 3, the only constant timer applicable is C, which is 3 seconds, so it will be delayed only by 3 seconds. So let us see this in action. Now you can see this has started, and for the first 9 seconds they will be delay, and only after 9 seconds we will get our request 1 getting executed. So our request 1 got executed. Then after delay of 6 seconds we will get request 2, and yes, and now after a delay of around 3 seconds we will get our third request. So this is how you can place constant timers and add delays between your samples. Okay, now let us also look at another timer, which is uniform random timer. Okay, and let me disable all the other timers and have only uniform random timer. Okay, now you can see in uniform random timer we have random delay max and constant delay offset. So what does this mean? We have random delay max and constant delay offset. So this means that the delay will be a random value and will not be a fixed value to simulate real world scenario. We do not want to have a fixed value of delay between all the threads, but we want a random delay, and the formula for this random delay will be 0.x multiplied by random delay max plus constant delay offset. Okay, so in this case we have random delay max as 100 and constant delay offset as 0. So the formula will turn out to be, and x is any digit between 0 and 9. So the formula turnout will be 0 into x, x is 0 to 9, any digit, multiplied by 100 plus 0. So the random delay will be between 0 to 99 seconds, and it will vary between requests. Okay, and we can make it a higher value. I can say random delay of let's say 3000 milliseconds and minimum constant delay offset of 1000. Okay, so now if we run our test, you will see a random delay between the requests. So we have started, and let us see, after around 4 seconds we got our first request. Then after a total of 10 seconds we got second request, and then we got the third request. Okay, so we can see there is a random delay between these requests. So this is how we use timers, and most of your requests should be covered by using these two type of timers. Hope you like it. Thank you.